If you've ever found yourself stuck in a cycle where you keep attracting exactly what you're afraid of, this episode breaks down the psychology of how our expectations become our reality and how to shift from expecting the worst to setting intentions for what you actually want to feel.
Hi, this is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life, and today is Crisis Confessionals, and I'm still here in Costa Rica, chilling out, meeting people, making friends, catching up with old friends. It's been really, really nice. So what do I want to talk about? So last week on this same episode on Crisis Confessionals, I was talking a lot about coming back here and feeling the same level of apprehension and anxiety and worry and jealousy and envy and I don't know, all those other things that I was feeling coming back here. And I spoke a little bit about how, it's interesting that I found this to be such a place of healing, but it took for me to come back here for me to feel the unknown feelings of stress and worry and fear that I felt while I was here. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So not only have I noticed it within myself, but okay, so I went out the other night. I have a friend who lives here. I'm currently staying in one of his apartments. He's a really amazing guy. He's got a daughter who is 18, right? And I went out with my son the other night, just go check out the nightlife to have a little bit of fun. It was his first time out in the town. It was really interesting to watch him. He was really super social and personable, and he made loads of friends, and he was just off doing his own thing the whole time. I'm like, right, it took me to like 35 to be able to go and do that on a night out, to just like meet people and have fun. But anyway, that's beside the point. We ran into my friend's daughter while we were out, and she was there with some of her friends, one of whom I met previously, and these other two girls. Anyway, at the end of the night, they were like, oh, what are you doing? Come to the pool, like at the house where she lives. We were going to go chill out by the pool. My son was like, yeah, let's go, let's go. I'm like, I don't really care, but all right, fine. Let's go to the pool. Anyway, there were these two boys that had been following them around the whole club. And this one particular guy had been consistently trying to dance with this one girl, right? He was trying to get her attention. He was trying to be around her. And he was just like a little puppy dog, basically, like following her around. And he spoke to me in the club and he was like, oh, but it's because she thinks I'm too young. I'm not too young. I'm trying to show her that I'm not too young. And I'm like, yeah, but how are you trying to show her? By like dancing behind her, like just grinding up on the back of her. Like that doesn't really show your age. Like she's outside, go talk to her, go show her that you've got more to offer, right? So he goes outside and he's doing whatever he's doing anyway. We end up back at the pool and I realized like, oh, okay, my friend's daughter and this other girl as an exception, but these two girls, I was like, oh, you're mean girls. Oh, you're very mean girls. Like the whole time they were just ragging on this guy, taking the absolute piss out of him, just talking down to him, laughing at him. It was really hard to watch. So this guy turns to me at some point with his like hangdog expression and he's like, help me. Can you help me? What do you mean help you? He's like, you were so nice to me in the club. Can you just tell me what I'm supposed to say? Just help me. And I'm like, dude, you're clearly outnumbered. And these girls clearly don't want you around. They just want to be mean to you, right? So why don't you just cut your losses and go about your business? Stop chasing this fucking girl, right? All she's doing is taking the piss out of you. Yeah, he want to do that. He just carried on with his kind of like pathetic puppy dog, needy, please, desperate type of vibe. Followed them all the way up into the apartment. I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going home. My son's like, why are you going home? Please, let's stay and chill. I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I want to go home. Anyway, interestingly enough, on the way home, I started talking to this taxi guy. So in Costa Rica, they have Uber, right? If you want to get an Uber. But they also have these things called colectivos. And colectivos are basically just someone driving around in their fucked up, battered car, right? And you always know it's a collectivo because like the door's hanging off and there's no window, and then you get inside and there's no panel. You can't even open the door. You got to like wind down the non-existent window and put your hand outside to open up the door. But it's all good, right? Because they charge you like basically a mil to go wherever they're going. They don't take you where you want to go. They go where they're going. And if you're going in the same direction as them, then you can get in the car and you can pay them a mil, right? And they just kind of drive around doing that all day long. So anyway, we were in the taxi and I was talking to this guy in the taxi. He was saying about how he had recently just come back from Denmark, and he'd been living there for 5 years, and he'd met some woman. They'd been together. They'd had kids. That he finally brought them all back to Costa Rica to live. Subsequently found out that his wife was cheating with her ex-boyfriend, and had been cheating on him for a long time. And this isn't the first time that he'd caught her cheating. She'd done it many, many times before, and she'd said, sorry, I'm going to change, whatever else. Within like, I don't know, a 20-day period, he found out his wife was cheating. She left him, took the kids, went back to Denmark, He lost all the money on the house that they'd purchased. He had to give away all of his furniture because he couldn't live in that house anymore and people didn't want to buy secondhand furniture from him. He bought a car to try and do tours and whatever else out of Tamarindo because it's a very touristy place. And then found out that the car that he'd bought, they'd sold it to him completely broken. So he can't even sell it for parts. It's not funny. He can't even sell it for parts. He had to sleep on his friend's sofa, but then his friend and his friend's girlfriend had a domestic, so then he couldn't stay there. He had another car that he was driving around as a collectivo, where he'd been sleeping in, and basically just things were going from bad to worse, right? Why are all of these things relevant? So one of the things that I was talking about last week was I was talking about the feeling that I had here. I thought that it was all money related. So the reason I thought it was all money related was because there was so much anxiety around my money situation, around where my money was coming from, how I was getting paid, whether I was going to get any more money, whether it was going to be stable, that the whole energy of my finances was just saturated in fear. So even when I had money, I was scared. When I didn't have money, I was scared. When I had the potential of having money, I was scared. And it was kind of like, how can any of my finances, how can I feel financial stability when everything related to my money and to my finances is saturated in this feeling of fear? So it wouldn't have really mattered if I had, 7 freelance jobs coming up, or if I had 1 freelance job coming up. The energy around it was exactly the same. So spending money felt the same, saving money felt the same. And when I came back and I realized, okay, it wasn't about the money. It was actually about this feeling of desperation that I had, this feeling of lacking that I had, that just permeated absolutely everything. My relationships, my interpersonal skills, I guess, for want of a better word, just everything, right? And I was talking about how my friends we felt that feeling coming off of me, that level of desperation. And this is why they didn't really want to invite me out. This is why they didn't really want to spend time with me. This is why I felt ostracized and isolated. And it was definitely a money story for me while I was here. So what happened to me when I first came is I came out here with this idea, right? And I had it worked out in my head. This is how I'm going to live. This is how I'm going to survive. This is how, I don't know, life is going to pan out here, right? And I kind of had this blueprint of what things were going to be like. Within the first month, within the first 3 weeks, I lost my contract, my money, my home, and I ended up living in a treehouse. It was fine because it was in the middle of the jungle. It was amazing. There were monkeys that used to come every day and they'd just come and chill out on the property. It was a stone's throw away from where my son was going to school, so I didn't have to pay for transport, travel, and all the rest of it, right? But it was definitely hard. I think what happened to me in those first few weeks determined everything that happened to me over the next 3 years. So I think I just fell into this expectation, right, of things aren't good for me. I don't have enough. Life out here is about survival. It's not about thriving. I think I fell into this expectation of things are not going to work out. Things are not going to be easy. Things are going to be really difficult. They're going to be really hard. They're going to be really challenging. And I didn't expect anything different, you know. And I think that just like the guy in the taxi, just like that poor, pathetic young boy that was just following this girl around with this hangdog expression, when we make a decision about how something is going to be, it's very easy to do nothing but attract that in our lives. Yeah. So this guy in the taxi, I was saying to him, listen, things may seem hard, but you have to make a decision to change your energy. You have to make a decision to change your frequency. You have to make a decision to ignore everything that's happening in your reality and have this unshakable, unwavering belief that things are going to change. And even when I say that, I don't even mean change, because when you start talking about change, you're basically saying that things are not good enough as they are and that you need something different and you want something different. And then you're pining for something different rather than believing that you have it, right? And I think it's so easy to get trapped into that minefield, into that loop, that kind of like cycle of expecting the worst and then getting the worst and then seeing the worst. So expecting the worst and then getting the worst and then seeing the worst. And I think that it's really difficult to break out of it. In order to break out of it, you have to have a certain level of madness, a certain level of delusion, right? To believe that even though things around you are telling you one thing, that you know that it's something different, right? And I think for me, when I came here, that expectation was all I knew. It was all I could believe in, and therefore it was all I experienced while I was here. And I think it's just really important for us to catch our thoughts, to catch our feelings, to catch our expectations. And I guess in essence, really, it's important for us not to hold expectation about how things are going to go, because this is us making a decision that we already know. It doesn't leave open the possibility for anything else, for anything more, for anything further, for anything greater or worse to come along. We're saying that we know how things are going to go and we expect it to go this way. So therefore, this is what we look for. And you need to remember that whatever we perceive, right, as being the truth is the truth. So like I say, I could have had 7 pieces of work coming in, but the energy was still the same. The expectation was still the same. The belief was still the same. The perception was still the same, right? Because this is what I expected. I think rather than having expectations, it's important to have intentions. And an intention is you saying, not even I hope, it's an intention is you saying, this is the feeling that I want to have. I want to wake up every morning feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling stable. I want to wake up every morning knowing that I have everything that I need, and that even if I can't see that I have it, I trust and I have faith that it's already mine. It may not just be here yet. I think when you have an intention, it's not about the how or the when, the who, the journey, the destination, and everything that's going to happen on that, because you don't know any of those things. It's just you saying, this is how I'm going to feel. And it may not be today and it may not be tomorrow, but I know that this is how I'm going to feel. Because what that does is it realigns your perspective, it realigns your thoughts, it realigns those cycles, those patterns of thoughts and feelings and behaviors to something different. You see, because the thing is, right, is that it's really difficult to see the broader picture. It's really difficult to see the wider picture, to be able to zoom out, right, and see everything and how everything's going to fall into place and how everything's going to work out and how this difficult situation here is leading you to something that's better, right? It's really difficult to be able to see that. And that's why we hold so fast to our expectations, because they are the things that feel like they ground us. It feels like it stabilizes us. It feels like it gives us power in what can feel like a disempowered position, right? But I remember when I was going through this situation, I was sat in my treehouse. So in my treehouse, there was just like one room upstairs with a bed where I slept with my kids, and then a bathroom, and then a little deck on the outside. And then you had to come down the stairs on the outside of the treehouse to go into the kitchen. And for the first 2 weeks, I would go downstairs and I would just sob my heart out. I would cry and cry and cry, and I would feel pretty darn sorry for myself, man, and pretty victimized, and like it was all just a fucking hardship. But I remember after days and days of doing this, I suddenly had this vision where I saw myself in the future, possibly now, looking back at myself from outside of myself in that kitchen, crying my eyes out. And I realized, oh, okay, I can't even actually feel the pain that I'm in anymore, that I feel like I'm in that moment. And I realized that I understand all of the stages, all of the steps that have happened from that moment up till now, because I've got that beautiful 2020 of hindsight with it. And if I can place myself up here rather than down here, and yes, you've got to feel it, and yes, you've got to process it, and yes, you can't just like bury it down. That's not what I'm suggesting. It's not like suppress all of your emotions and just pretend you're in a different reality. It's like feel it, live it, experience it, go through that pain, because you need to process it, right? Because that's the thing that moves you forward. But also, don't wallow in it. Live also from this higher perspective, from this like, oh, in 6 months' time, I'm not even going to be able to feel how painful this was. I'm literally not going to be able to feel the pain of it in my body. So it's okay, you know, it's okay. And I think that that's what intention gives you. It allows you to step out of the current reality, out of the current pain, and have this overarching macrocosmic view of everything where you're not quite sure how it's going to work out. You're not quite sure where things are going to lead, or when, or to what, with whom, at what point. But you know, at some point, you're not going to be sitting in a treehouse in the kitchen on a stool, sobbing your heart out. And I really hope, I really hope that that young boy can set an intention of being respected, of being loved, of being around people who want to spend time with him. rather than an expectation that he's going to be treated like shit and that's just the way that it is. And he just needs to put up with it and ask for help from some old lady that's hanging around with kids. So yeah, I think that's it. Something that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for time. I'm grateful for the time that I have had away from being in this situation to know the difference, to be able to feel the contrast, which has given me a greater level of understanding and a greater level of awareness. I'm grateful for time in the way that it resolves everything if you allow it to. If you stop trying to manipulate time, if you stop trying to tell time when and how things are going to happen and who it's going to happen to and who it's going to happen for and I don't know what's going to come out of it. And you just have trust and belief, faith. Time resolves everything. And I think I'm grateful for time in the way that, irrespective of what you're going through, it gives you this beautiful level of perspective. It gives you this hindsight that is like this beautiful wisdom that, as I say, allows you to understand, but also in the way that time heals and time is wisdom as well. I think I'm really grateful for those things because it's really difficult when you're in it to see anything but what you're in. Yeah, I think that's it.
That desperate energy you're carrying, everyone can feel it, and it's probably pushing away what you want most. Drop a comment about what cycle you're ready to break, or what intention you're setting instead of expecting the worst. And come back tomorrow where we're going to be talking about expectation versus intention.